If you're sick of attracting narcissists and you want to actually spot them, let's dive into this thing. Hi! Welcome back to the channel. So I want to talk to you today about how to spot a narcissist, but just very quickly, I have very exciting news to share. I am getting married in 1 week from today. I'm having a small beach wedding and I'm not stressed out at all. Talk to me next week and I can tell you about all the stress that I had. But as of right now, I'm very excited. I feel so good. And if you haven't seen my other videos, I talk about how I went from being in a narcissistic, abusive relationship to finding the love of my life, who's very kind, sweet, genuine, and I love him very much. So yay for that. But in today's video, I'm gonna help you the best I can to spot a narcissist. And this is coming from me, your big sister or your sister, versus like a medical professional or a psychologist, whatever. So this isn't medical advice. This isn't like psychological advice. This is like, hey girl, I'm gonna try to help you out so that you can start spotting them, so you know the warning signs of them, and we can get you to actually date people who are good for you, okay? So the very first thing I want to preface this all with is narcissists look very different from each other. So I'm going to try to keep a little bit of anonymity. I'm going to essentially try to keep people's identities out of this. So I'm just going to say there have been 2 people in my life, and they are both narcissists, and they presented very differently. So we have, let's just say, what can we name these 2 people? We're gonna call this one Tom and this one Jerry. Tom and Jerry, okay. So as I go through this list, I'll tell you the 2 kind of archetypes that I have personally run into when it comes to narcissists. So let's dive right in. If you're sick of attracting narcissists and you want to actually spot them, let's dive into this thing. So I actually got the book out of the library called Narcissist for Dummies, and it was written by this woman called Laura L. Smith. She is a PhD in clinical psychologist, so she has some credential in this whole thing. And I wanted the book because I wanted to kind of check the way that I look at things versus how maybe a medical professional looks at things. So, according to Narcissist for Dummies, there are some traits that can help us notice when someone is a narcissist. So let's dive into those. Now, I took a picture and I'm going to read this off. Considering telltale narcissistic traits. So these are like just very typical narcissistic traits. And this would be the way that you would say true or false about this, but it's in a like first person perspective. I view myself as a superior human being. Lots of people envy me. I'm an unusually successful person. I'm a born leader. I like to show off my good looks. I avoid spending time with those who are socially unacceptable to me. I don't like associating with losers. I enjoy having the best of everything. I like people who tell me how great I am. When I'm the center of attention, I enjoy it. I can manipulate just about anyone to do what I want. People really enjoy hearing me talk. I love what I see in the mirror. I shouldn't have to wait like ordinary people. I prefer associating with other high-status people. I am capable and great at making decisions. If someone's in my way, I push them aside. I've achieved much more success than most people. If there's trouble, I tend to blame others, and someone should write a book about me. Okay, so I have some opinions about that actually, and I think that that is a very stereotypical thought of a narcissist. Like if we were drawing a cartoon character and we were like, that guy's a narcissist, he would like say some of those things, but people present differently. And in my experience, Tom and Jerry presented different even from that. There's some things that I could hear Tom say and some things that Jerry would say. So Tom is he's a covert narcissist, and he doesn't have super high emotions and acts like he's joking about everything. So some things that he would say from this list would be, ha ha ha, I'm always right. Like if I were to say, oh, oh, like, oh, yeah, you were right about that. And he's like, I know, I'm always right. Ha 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 ha. It was like in a tone where you're like, are you serious or are you joking? And it was kind of a little hard to tell. So that is kind of how that archetype was for me. He did have this, so there was some of this that was very true. It was, I prefer associating with other high status people. So he came from a good amount of money, and he would look down upon his friends a lot. So every time we hung out with his friends, when that was over, we would have this like debrief about, oh my God, I can't believe this person's doing this, and you know, thank God I'm doing like this in life. Like, I can't believe they're not having like, you know, I can't believe they're overweight, or I can't believe they have this job and I have this. So there was a lot of comparison to make sure that he reassured himself that he was better than other people. That's Tom. Then we have Jerry, and that one doesn't necessarily have this like pompous, I'm better than everyone attitude, and it's not really about status, but it's more so like, everyone's out to get me. They damage a lot of relationships around them. It's very victim-y, and that type that I was exposed to was very hostile, very emotional, very high anger, where this one was very regulated to make sure he looked perfect at all times. And I'm sharing this because narcissism can look a large variety of ways, and by sharing some of my personal experiences and some things from that book, maybe you can put 2 plus 2 together and be like, wait a minute, this guy that I'm seeing, I feel intuitively uncomfortable, and he's showing me narcissistic traits. I'm going to step away from that one. The next thing that's so typical of narcissists is gaslighting. This is a huge buzzword nowadays. I'm sure you've heard someone say, don't gaslight me. And narcissists are known for gaslighting, which essentially means they're trying to change your reality. And the severity of that depends on the person, of course. But for example, I will tell you exactly what happened where I got gaslit one time. So we were driving, and I mean, I'm not going to tell you which one's which, but obviously you guys know I was in a narcissistic abusive relationship. And this is a scenario, I'm driving first off because I had to do a lot in the relationship. And he even called himself a princess on multiple times. He's like, no, I'm the princess. I'm like, okay. So I'm driving, and we're going, and he's like mocking me or something, or he's teasing me in some way, it was always his way out of things, was teasing. That's actually a huge thing I've noticed with narcissists, because I actually have a third example of a narcissist, and all three, joking around was a huge thing. Like, it's almost as if they can't take anything seriously. Everything's always a joke. So he was messing with me, and I was like, hey, can you stop? And he continues, and I get upset. And he's like, I don't understand why you're upset. And I'm like, because I asked you to not do this. No, you didn't. I didn't hear you. And it's basically like saying, so first, let's define gaslighting through the Narcissist for Dummies. Gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse that can make the victim start questioning their own sanity. Victims come increasingly confused, sometimes wondering whether they're losing their memory, their common sense, or their emotional stability. Narcissists often become experts at gaslighting. The abuse usually begins quite slowly with small, insignificant suggestions that can lead to full-blown distortions of reality. Because that's essentially what it is. It's distorting your own reality. And if you're someone who easily forgets things, so that actually got used against me, I don't have the best memory. So the abuser purposely used that against me and would say, well, you don't remember, like how could you? And when we would have like arguments or discussions, it would always be picking apart and analyzing the past, and it would be, well, you don't remember anyway. And so that was a way of manipulating me in that scenario. So when we're at this drive, I had set a boundary and he pretended like he didn't hear it and wasn't respecting the boundary. And he even says, what do you think, I'm gaslighting you? And of course at that time I was like, no, 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 no. Yes, he was gaslighting me. He was trying to change my reality. And so what this can look like is people can make up stuff. Like in this example, it says, so this is the narcissist speaking. Did you pick up the dry cleaning? The victim says, no, you didn't ask me to. I didn't know it was ready. The narcissist says, we had a conversation last night. You promised me that you'd get it on the way home. Victim says, I don't remember either one of us talking about that. Are you sure? The other person says, are you okay? Were you taking drugs last night? You really don't remember? So it's like, it's trying to change the reality, make it seem like there's something wrong with you. So gaslighting is like number one red flag of a narcissist, especially if you can catch them in it frequently, like maybe on accident, or like maybe you have a manipulative person. Like a normal human being might gaslight someone on accident, or they're having a bad day or whatever, but the difference between spotting a narcissist and just a normal person that's going through some stuff is that, first off, your intuition knows. As women, our intuition's always right. So if that starts to happen and you feel in the pit of your stomach that is wrong, you're correct. It is wrong, okay? And it's not just you thinking this, and you're not crazy. Okay, so here's some more traits from the book that we can dive into. Black and white thinking that everyone's either bad or good. Catastrophizing, that is something that Jerry always does. So remember, Tom and Jerry. Jerry being the very emotional, vibrant one, very hostile. If something does not go his way, and this is actually a good way of explaining this, narcissist, on the other hand, may magnify the importance of not getting the right table at a restaurant or getting cold food, and they may react with fury. Many dramatic arguments in public stem from catastrophizing minor events. So, for example, goes to a store, they don't have something, it's like this huge victimization. So that anyway, Jerry is the type of person who would explode and be like, well, it said online that it had it, yada, 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 and it just like, huge explosion. So the next one is dismissing or distorting evidence. So they actually accuse someone of lying or stealing. Funny enough, I have another example of a fourth person who would always blame other people and accuse a bunch of other people for, like, that person could not misplace anything. It was always someone else's fault. Like, that person stole that from me, that person is lying, and that is a thing. So the next one is mind reading, thinking that you should be able to read their mind, and then they don't have really good emotional reasoning. So those are from the book. Now I have two additional traits, which is, you've also heard this one, love bombing, and the other one is mood shifts. So if you're not giving them attention in the right way, their mood shifts to essentially punish you. And usually people pleasers and empaths end up with narcissists, so all we want to do is please the other person. So what happens is their mood will shift to try to get you to do what they want, which is essentially give them attention or admiration. With the love bombing, this essentially means that when you first start dating them, they're so sweet, they're so kind, they shower you with gifts, they shower you with compliments, they want to just show you, like, they're quick to kind of jump into things, they want to kiss you and hold you, and very affectionate, very loving. So this can even start to occur when you're inside of the relationship, especially when you drift away. So if that person fears losing you, all of a sudden they're your dream relationship. So sweet, they're suddenly doing things for you, giving you back massages, they'll come to you and say, I'll do anything for you, you're my dream woman, yada, 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 yada. And where the manipulation kicks in is whatever you're discussing during that time, they agree, and then there's no action. So these are huge ways of spotting narcissists. And hopefully this video is helpful to you, and maybe you can just go on a binging spree all day watching other videos of other people talking about all this sorts of stuff, and now you have a toolbox and you're like, that one's a narcissist. If you enjoyed this video and you want me to make more, please let me know. If you have any questions, if you can just comment those, please tell me your name and your question, or if you have a comment. I am really excited about growing this community, and I will be deleting any negative comments because I want this to be a safe space where we can be kind to each other and supporting and uplifting, and I think it's really important, especially nowadays. So if you're watching this and you want to introduce yourself, I would love to meet you. So just leave me a comment, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!